the song. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I'm really proud of this song overall. I think it turned out really good. This is one of my favorite things to play on guitar, which is basically if you ever hold a guitar like this. I'm gonna try to get my guitar here, but it's stuck. There we are. Okay, so if you ever hold a guitar, you know that an E chord you play like this. So and then you just move it up. I love that chord. I love that chord as well. So that's the entire chord structure of this song. And yeah, so that's kind of like what I built everything off of. I'm really into playing guitar right now, and I want to make sure that the guitar playing isn't too complicated, so that I will be able to do it live or whatever. So I'm doing a lot of things that just feel good in the hands and sounds good. So yeah, for that, there's obviously, there's plugins is a big part of music production, like different plugins that do different things to your audio. So here I'm using this thing that's supposed to, it's got some effects and stuff for guitar. So let's see what we got going on here. So there's this guy, Tim Henson, who is a very famous and talented guitar player, and he's made this plugin together with a company called Neural DSP. So it's this is just the default. This is what it sounds like when you open it up, and I just played into it, and I liked what I heard. So I used that. So yeah, let me play that quickly again so you remember what it is. It sounds like this. I just think that's beautiful. The reverb is the biggest part of it, which is out here. It's like a really nice, long reverb that sounds really good on guitar. So big fan of that. So that's kind of like the basic of the song. I thought I was going to have a lot of other chords, but I didn't end up doing any other chords. Then there's the second guitar that comes in. That's kind of similar sounding, but it's just playing kind of fifths, which is kind of, very 90s, very like... Snow Patrol, If I Lay Here, that sort of thing. I think it adds something. The 1975 does it a lot as well. It's got a little delay on it. Let's see. Yes, it's the same plugin here. I just put on the delay and a little bit of chorus. So yeah, just adds a little bit of vibe. And of course, yeah, I was experimenting here with a little bit more of an indie vocal sound, right? So as you could hear, it was doubled, but it's also pretty distorted. I usually go for pretty clean vocals, but these vocals are very like,
I feel so stupid.
It almost sounds like I'm singing through a phone or something.
I feel so stupid that I didn't notice the tiny ways you weren't the same.
So let's see what we got here. So we got an EQ, taking away some boominess in the vocal. I'm using this microphone, which is not actually an amazing vocal microphone, but I like how it sounds. We got a little bit of auto-tune on here. Ooh, how edgy. I'm going to turn it off for a second. Let's see if it sounds good without it. Please sound good.
I feel so stupid that I didn't notice the tiny ways you weren't the same.
Yeah, that sounds almost the same. So yeah, I don't know. It just adds a little bit more, I think, polish to it. It goes into, I don't want to get in too much into this, but this is like kind of like a compressor. It just makes so that, the things that are loud don't get too loud and hurt you, and kind of brings out some of the details in the vocal.
I feel so stupid that I didn't notice the tiny ways you weren't the same.
Actually, it's not like doing anything here. I didn't look at it. I guess I just didn't want any of it.
I feel so stupid that I didn't.
This is doing a lot though. So this is a multi-band compressor. So this is more like, I want to bring down the high end a little bit, but also make it more present at the same. Like it doesn't disappear as much as if I would have turn down the volume on it all the way down here. It kind of it's an interesting thing. It just kind of controls everything, especially when I'm using a mic like this that isn't. The best. It really helps. De-esser here, which helps take away when the S's get a little bit too harsh. But the same. This is soothe, which is kind of like a thing also against harshness, or like it just makes things a bit smoother. Sometimes it can get too
I
much.
feel so stupid that I didn't notice.
It's doing very little though, but sometimes if you ever hear a song where it sounds like someone's singing like, then they usually have like, you know, used too much soothe on the vocal. So that can definitely be too much. I just use a little bit. And here I'm changing I'm doing this thing where the sample rate is reduced a little bit, and that kind of just takes away a little bit of high end as well in the vocal, but makes it a little crunchy in a way that I really like. Let me see, with and without that.
I feel so stupid that I didn't notice.
That was with, and now we're gonna hear without.
I feel so stupid that I didn't notice.
Tiny difference. You can probably barely hear. I'm not sure if I could hear that. And here we've taken away a little bit of low end, added a little bit of high end. Just, yeah. This might be very nerdy for people. This is the most kind of like over the top effect. So I found this preset called Cool Points because I wanted that indie sound. So if I turn it up, it sounds like this.
I feel so stupid that I didn't notice the tiny ways you weren't the same.
So that's more how my vocals usually sound. And here it is with.
I feel so stupid that I didn't notice.
So there's a very, you know, this is a big distortion box, very popular distortion thing that just, you know, adds grit. This is also a distortion box, and this here is a delay, I believe, and even more distortion after that. So quite an interesting mix of stuff that I would never do to a vocal usually. And then I'm de-essing again, apparently, because I guess the distortion brought out some S's again. And then there's a little reverb. And reverb, if you know what reverb is, but yeah. Without,
I feel so stupid that I didn't notice.
there we just have the delay, right? And now with the reverb.
I feel so stupid that I didn't notice.
Just nice. I like that reverb from Baby Audio, who also does stuff with, Andrew Huang, who I've collabed with a bit. They work with him on this plugin called Transit, which is really cool, which I've been wanting to use a bit more. So that's kind of like what's going on with the vocals. Let's see if we can just listen to maybe the vocals in the chorus.
Now this room is so quiet. Hear my heart in my chest. You say you've been in denial, keeping all this suppressed.
That's just me like singing, singing a vocal and stuff. There's, again, a lot of what happens with my voice, I have like a very, a very powerful voice, and sometimes that leads to things getting a little bit harsher than I would want. So I have to go in sometimes and fix notes. So here I have another version of this soothe thing we were talking about earlier, but I only use it on certain notes. If when it gets a little distorted and stuff, if I don't want it to be like super rocky, I'll put that in there and just kind of reduce a little bit of that frequencies. And we have these backing vocals here.
You say you've been in denial.
And then we have this part.
So you list all your reasons, let out on the demons, presenting like unchangeable fate.
Oh, that's fun. I like that a lot.
It's too late, too late, too late.
So the reason that last two late goes here is that I have an extra delay there, so it sounds extra big on the big late and the high late.
Too late. It's too late, too late, too late.
That's cool. And the reason there's like weird cuts here is that they weren't perfectly lined up. So I'm using a tool in my DAW Cubase that kind of makes sure that everyone's singing at the same time. So yeah, we can save a lot of time by using some digital tools, and I'm all for that type of thing. Just want great music. That's what it's all about. So what we got more? Yeah, we got the guitars. There's a little synth that comes in the chorus. Sounds like this. 2 synths actually. Just try to get a bit of movement. So you might not even hear those when you're listening to the song because it just kind of fill out space. But if you listen closely now. they're definitely not central. There's funny. I actually deleted these before I sent it to the mixer, so these are not going to be in here. But there's these like boom sounds that kind of make it a little bit muddy. I thought they sounded cool because it was like big, you know, like boosh. But I think it actually just made things work worse. So I'm gonna mute that. Here's guitars that I recorded. Similar, it's the same plugin and everything I showed earlier. There's just a little bit more grit on there. So yeah, I pulled up the gain a little bit and the input a little bit to make it more distorted. What else is going on here? We got some drums. I'm using this drum kit from this company called Mixwave. So I would love to record real drums, but I'm not able to right now. So this is a drum kit by this guy Thomas Pridgen, and I like this snare drum. It sounds really nice. So yeah, that's kind of like the baseline thing I'm using. And there's this new plugin I've been using just on this song that's called Snapback that kind of adds some extra stuff. It adds like I don't know how nerdy I want to go with this. I'm sure you guys are already just like, why is he talking about all this detailed stuff? But it basically adds extra layers of like kind of claps and more bass and stuff to the drums. So it's really fun. And like I really like it. Here's this is funny because this is a Swedish company called Klevgrand or Klevgrand, some people say, and it's called skaka, which means shake in Swedish, and it's got a bunch of shaking percussion, and they're really good and they're really famous even in America and stuff. So I'm a big fan of those guys. We have the bass again. Like I used to have a bass, but I sold it because I had so much stuff. So here I'm using a sampled bass called Prime Bass. The way I programmed it here, it sounds great in the song, but when we listen to it solo, it's not going to sound great. Let's have a listen. Actually, it's not too bad. Okay. Yeah, that's not great. It's ba 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 ba, very like machine gunny. But anyway, I am so that's kind of the gist of the song. Again, it's being mixed right now, but if you want to know what I've been doing here, it's just kind of there's just some stuff. There's this plugin called Ozone that's pretty good at just making things sound good on the master. If you kind of, I always turn a lot of stuff off when I use it, but it's a good little plugin. And yeah, that's about it. There's not really that much going on. It's just really about, for me, it's all about the song and just trying to get it in. Like a lot of people nerd out a lot more on the sound stuff, but I for me it's just like I want to write good lyrics and good songs. I want to show you the lyrics if I can. Let's see. Is there like a project notepad? There it is. Okay, I'm gonna paste in the lyrics for the song and we can read them back together and can talk about the lyrics for a sec. Let's see. So yeah, again, it's kind of like the song. The video is about pointless breakups and kind of when someone hasn't been communicating. So I feel so stupid that I didn't notice the tiny ways you weren't the same. But looking back, it all comes into focus. Things like how you would say my name. So yeah, basically that comes from actually kind of like personal experience for me, where being in a relationship where someone's kind of checking out and like you might not notice it at the time, but thinking back, it's just like, oh, why were they acting like that or whatever. And then you're like, oh, it's such a poor kind of cycle to get stuck in, like, oh, what could I have done differently to make things work? But at the end of the day, there's nothing, because if people don't share stuff with you, then what do you do? But when I'd ask, you'd say it's all okay, just tired from work, lost in thought. You're on a call with friends when we had plans. Sound happier when you talk. Have you ever been in a relationship or like been with a friend and they seem happy to talk to other people? I always think that's like so heartbreaking. So I want to get that in there, just like especially when every relationship, like romantic relationship and otherwise, like, and friendships too, they get into like this dip after you've been really excited to get to know each other, where where it may not be as exciting and other people get more exciting, or like it's just I always think that the initial period of getting to know someone is more exciting than what happens later. So yeah, but seeing that as in a relationship, I think is difficult. And then now this room is so quiet. Hear my heart in my chest. You say you've been in denial, keeping all this suppressed. So you list all your reasons, let out all the demons. Like they tell you what's been bothering them. Um, Present it like unchangeable fates. It's too late, too late, too late, too late, too late, too late. So, yeah, basically like, here's a list of reasons why we shouldn't be dating or like things aren't working, and it's too late to do anything about it because I've already moved on emotionally, that sort of thing. So that's what the song is about, and the video is about. And I've had many friends who have gone through this kind of thing. We know with the marriages and long-term relationships and stuff. I talk about this in the video, but like I do think that usually it's kind of more okay, I think, to break up this way earlier on in a relationship. And when someone has like invested, maybe like a year or more into you and you don't even try to fix it, because things are always going to kind of peter down a little bit after you've been dating for a long time. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just something that I feel like isn't talked about enough. This like when people just process things alone and decide they don't want to. I think that's kind of crazy. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little. Actually, let me keep the notepad up and we can listen to the song again, and you guys can read along if you want.
I feel so stupid that I didn't notice the tiny ways you weren't the
I wonder if
same.
that's too small for you guys.
But looking back, it all comes into focus. Things like how you would say my name, but when I'd ask, you'd say it's all okay. Just tired from work, lost in thought. You're on a call with friends when we had plans. Sound happier when you talk. Now this room is so quiet. Hear my heart in my chest. You say you've been in denial, keeping all this suppressed. So you list all your reasons, let out the demons, presented like unchangeable fate. It's too late, too late, too late. It's too late, too late, too late.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about you guys. I think I really like this song. If people like it, it's as usual. Like, I want to finish a bunch of stuff. I'm going to Nashville now to work on music, so it's gonna be more like that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown of the song, and yeah, hopefully this video will go out. It'll probably go out now next weekend since we weren't able to get it done for this. But yeah, thanks for being patrons. I appreciate you so much, and let me know what else you would like to see. Bye.